this is the Famili wireless cooking thermometer model MT009. Now, included with the thermometer are the instructions, which I have over here. 4 AAA batteries, 2 that go in the display here, 2 that go in the base. Then, of course, you see the transmitter base, the display, and the probe, which is about 3 feet 2 inches long, which is standard and appears to be like a standard probe that a lot of these types of thermometers use. Now, according to the included instructions, this has a 90-day warranty. Now, the one thing I noticed in that warranty information in the instructions is that if the probe fails, which is usually the most likely part to fail in these types of wireless or these types of thermometers with a cable, you have to return the probe back to the company at your cost before they will actually replace the probe. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this particular thermometer. Now, the thermometer and base both have a blue plastic casing that feels lightweight, but it seems to be made okay for the price. The base, like I said, takes the 2 batteries here in the bottom. Of course, there's a small little antenna up here on the top for transmitting, and there's a probe port, which I've got the probe here on the side, and then the power switch on the other side. On the front here is also a front LED indicator that indicates that the base is on and transmitting. Now, to turn on the base, you have to hold the button down here for a couple seconds. And let's see, there you go. And you'll see the flash. I do think that it's a bit difficult to see if the base is on or not, as that LED indicator kind of flashes pretty quickly. And I kind of would have preferred like a flip switch on the side here as opposed to this push button to make it easier to see if you have it on or off. Or at least have the LED display a little longer than it does. My other issue with the base here is I do wish it kind of had some rubber feet. There are none on the bottom to keep it from sliding around so easily because it's just a hard plastic base bottom. Now again, the thermometer display also requires the 2 AA batteries. It's the battery slot here is under the belt clip, and has a little small antenna as well. It has, as you can see, a pretty large display. It's easy to see there. The power switch is here. You hold that for 2 seconds to turn off and on. Also, it's also for switching from Celsius to Fahrenheit. But just by quickly pushing it. There's also a little flashlight switch here that turns on and off the little flashlight on the top there. I think the light, in my personal opinion, is a little dim and has pretty limited usefulness, but it might help you in certain situations if you're grilling in near dark conditions or something. But I didn't think the light was particularly that bright. And again, like I said, there's a nice large display. It's pretty easy to read and use. There's no backlight on this display, though, so I would have liked to have seen that as opposed to this flashlight thing here. But it has several buttons here on the front, including the pre-programmed, wellness levels that seem to be pretty accurate. There's also a program mode here as well. For putting your own temperature in, and a timer mode. You just switch the button for timer there. Now, it doesn't have a memory for saving your program, but the one thing I did find is that if you turn it off and turn it back on, that it at least remembers what you had last selected, including the last temperature. So the presets themselves seem to be accurate to what is the standard recommended temperatures for the different meats. And again, as you can see, there's buttons. The buttons are pretty easy to use, easy to program. I like the fact that you've got several for doing the several different things. There's the hour and minute button for the timer, which also clears the display. The start stop, the meat selection, the taste and wellness selection, and then the mode to switch from timer to cooking temperatures. The alarm itself seems to be loud enough. You can kind of hear it beep, but it's a little louder than that when it actually goes off. But it's enough to get your attention, and seems to go off pretty accurately when the time is up or the temperature is reached that you have selected. It also has an auto shut-off feature that shuts off after 30 minutes of no activity is detected. But it gives you a kind of a 1-minute alarm warning to let you know that that's happening. I like the fact with this that you can either sit this in the display here or in the base here, or you can put it on your belt and carry it with you. For me, I find that useful when you're running in and out of the outside when you're grilling. You know, you could put it on your belt and carry it with you if you're doing other things, so you don't get lost on what you're doing outside with your cooking. Now, the one thing I have had with this is some issues with initial pairing with this. I found that if that occurs, because sometimes it won't pair, if you take the batteries out of both the base and the display and put them both back in and then power up each device, I had less problems with it pairing up. I'm a little skeptical at the claim of the 300-foot range that this is supposed to have. It works fine for me in the 30 to 40-foot distance range through walls and doors, which for me personally is more than I need in terms of distance. Again, I'm fairly skeptical about 300 feet or why you'd even want to be that far anyway, but it does seem to work at a pretty good distance regardless. Now, the temperature probe with this is one of the fairly standard type that you see that come with all of these types of thermometers. And to me is the weakness of all of these thermometers, because these tend to be pretty delicate. You can't bend, pinch them, burn them, get the wires wet, or most likely the probe will start working. Again, I'm not picking on this particular thermometer. This seems to be an issue with kitchen thermometers in this price range, and not just this one. It's something I wish that all of these thermometer companies would make a little bit better and use a little bit heavier duty or probe. But again, I like this display. This thermometer. It has a nice portable display, pretty good range, accurate cooking temperatures and presets, easy to see display. You can see both the time and temperature in the timer mode, which is good. It remembers the last setting, although it doesn't have save settings. The button interface is pretty easy to use. It has a loud enough alarm, and it has an auto shut off. Again, some of the things I don't particularly like about this is the base should have some rubber feet on it. There's no display backlight. The warranty is kind of short, and I don't like the fact that you have to deal with shipping the probe back if that's what fails to even get a replacement. To me, it's a bit hard to tell if the base is on with that quick flashing LED. The flashlights has limited usefulness and it's dim, in my opinion. Again, the probe cable is always the biggest weakness with these, and there's an issue at times with pairing. But overall, I mean, this is a neat little portable thermometer that gives you some flexibility in how you cook, and I give it 4 stars.